The views, opinions, and information shared during the KC Youth Services podcast series belong solely to the individuals involved. Any recommendations or advice given during the podcast is general in nature and does not replace the need to seek professional advice where necessary. If you are in need of urgent assistance, please call 000 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800.
The City of Casey proudly acknowledges the traditional owners, Casey's Aboriginal communities and their rich culture, and pays respect to the elders past, present and future. We acknowledge Aboriginal people as Australia's first peoples and as the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we work and live. I would also like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast today gratefully on Bunurong country.
Hi everyone and welcome to Season 4, Episode 9 of KC Youth Services Podcast. We're your hosts today. My name's Tessa.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm a Chol.
Our special guest today is Shelley, who is creating the LGBTQIA+ action plan for the City of Casey. I know you all might be thinking, so what is that? Well, let's find out some more shortly.
All right. So we start off with an icebreaker question, Shelley. If you're ready for it. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on here. Thank you for...
Happy to have you.
Yeah. The superpower that I would like to have, and it's probably a common one, but I can see why it's a common one, and that would be the ability to fly. Just the ability to go anywhere whenever you can without having to do airports, flying an economy, all that sort of thing. So flying would be the superpower that I would love to have.
Great choice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a lot of traffic as well.
Yeah, I think mine's pretty similar to yours. Mine would be teleportation for similar reasons. Just get to wherever you want kind of instantly. So, yeah.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. Achol, Stephen, what about you?
I would go with invisibility. I feel like there are moments such as back in the day when we would have to do beep test. I wish I could disappear.
Yeah. Yes, just disappear for the beep test. Gosh.
Yeah, I remember for that one, I used to give up on purpose just to stop doing it. And my teacher would be like, Tessa, I know you can do better than that, and make me go back in.
You need a plan, a strategic plan with beep test, but I think being able to be invisible would be the best way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go with spider sense. So you sort of know something's going to happen. You got to look around, you've just got to be mindful, be prepared.
It's kind of like, intuition, and yeah, I like it.
All right. So Shelley, we were hoping you could tell us about the action plan for LGBTQIA+ young people. Could you outline it in easy to understand terms for us?
Yeah, I can. So, the City of Casey have committed on an action plan, which is kind of like it's a commitment. So it's a document that we're putting together that's got an expiration date of 4 years. So we've got 4 years to complete this document that's going to outline a range of different actions that can help build LGBTIQA+ inclusiveness in the City of Casey. And what's going to fill that document up is, we're having some consultations with the community. We had a community survey actually at the beginning of the year. So that was the first way that we engaged with people living in the City of Casey or who spend a lot of time in Casey. And the next part, what we're going to do is have some focus groups. So we're going to bring some people together and have a conversation around what do people feel, people who are from the LGBTIQA+ community, what do they feel like they need to help feel supported and seen and safe, whether they're living here or spending a lot of time in Casey. So that's the next part coming up in the next few months, which is going to be a really important part because that's going to be those conversations and that information that we get from people. That's going to really help fill the action plan and what we can put in it. Yeah, what they want to see, what they want to do, what they want to be a part of. So that's what the action plan is. It's a pretty big document, but it kind of links also to some of the other action plans that the council has. And it also links to the overall commitment from Casey Council as well around our strategic plans and our health and wellbeing strategies. And it's about trying to help to empower the community and helping to get people involved and And yeah, so it's a very exciting time for the LGBTIQA plus community in living in Casey. And yeah, we really encourage people to listen out for and keep an eye out for things that we're doing and to get involved where you can.
I do love how there is going to be an opportunity for young people to share their thoughts and opinions at the outreach program to support the launch of the draft action plan. Can you let our listeners know just how they can be included and what that may involve?
Yeah, there's going to be a great opportunity for young people in Casey to be included and to be part of this, and we're really hoping that young people also get involved and come and share some of their visions for LGBTIQA plus inclusion in the city of Casey, and that's going to happen through focus groups. And so a focus group, we're all, there'll be a group of us coming together and we'll be having just some conversations around what it's like to be LGBTIQA plus and be in Casey, live in Casey at the moment, and what would you like to see going forward. And so it'll be it's like I said before, a really vital time, a really important time to sort of get that feedback from the community. And it's going to be a good, and that all of that will help to, like I said, really fill up that action plan. So the action plan really represents what people are wanting to see, and we want to make sure that we have young people in there as well, because especially when you're living in an outer metropolitan area like where the city of Casey is, we're pretty far from a lot of things out here, which is not a bad thing. And I guess one of the things that can make that better is if we have more inclusiveness that's local to us. That way people don't have to travel as far, which adds a lot of challenges, a lot of expenses. If you want to go to places or do things or meet people who are also from the community, we want to be able to bring that a bit closer. So these are the sort of things we want to hear from, especially from young people who, potentially might, in years to come, think about building a life in Casey. They might not want to move out of Casey. And that's great if you want to keep living in the city of Casey, as you become an adult and you think about, where you want to live and where you want to work post-school.
Yep.
So being able to stay close to family and friends is really important for people. It's really important for our sense of, for our mental well-being and for our emotional well-being. So this is why it's important to do this work, to keep people feeling safe and closer in their communities. And that's where the focus groups will be, a really great opportunity for hopefully young people to come along and have a chat with us and give us some feedback and tell us what they'd like to see.
Yeah, and even have a chat with each other and maybe create some friendships that hopefully will become a part of their support system.
Absolutely.
Would be awesome.
And that's part of the action plan, is building LGBTIQA plus visibility. So we start to see more rainbow flags, we start to see more rainbow events, we start to sort of see how there are other people who are also from the LGBTIQA plus community here as well. Yeah. So it starts to sort of help to address any sort of loneliness or isolation that people might be feeling.
And that's it. Community is bringing everyone together and having a part of something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
And representation and being a sense of belonging to that group is important.
Exactly, yeah. And it keeps to, like I said before, that kind of how it can impact people's sense of community, sense of mental health, emotional well-being is really critical.
What benefits can having this action plan and representation within local government do, and what does it mean for the rainbow community?
Yeah, I think it can mean a range of different things. And I think the first thing, if we sort of start on a smaller scale, some of the things that can do is just to help people feel like that they're safe and where they're living and where they are. So, especially in the city of Casey, it's about having that, again, that as we start to build up that visibility, people start to feel pretty happy to keep living here. They have access to things, which is really important as well, access to activities and events and groups. And so that's some of the importance that it's going to bring in, that action plan, as well as, sort of just keep building more. And the more we kind of build it, the more people tend to get on board with it as well. And I think that's really important as well. So we need to kind of, not only build a sense of safety and community for the LGBTIQA plus people, but also help to empower the allies of the community as well to also support people who are part of the rainbow community.
Absolutely. I imagine knowing the council is thinking of the community may be beneficial for mental well-being too, especially for young people, knowing someone has their back.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's, a big part of what helps our mental well-being is a sense of community and a sense of connection. It's really important to our mental health. So being able to, have access to those things, that's going to be really important for people's, mental health. And because if we have the opposite, which is disconnection and loneliness and isolation and harm, that those sorts of things, they really start to impact people's mental health, especially if you have continuous exposure to those things. So that's why it's important that we start to sort of empower and do more of the good things, the things that are about kindness and compassion and openness and inclusiveness, because that's what actually can help people to feel better about themselves and to feel better about where they are.
I think, from an ally point of view, it's really important to make sure that we are supportive of those that we love, because obviously there's challenges that they go through that we can't even imagine. So I feel that people should get behind those they love and support the community. So I'm not quite sure this is coming out well. But
yeah, no, it's a good point, because at the end of the day, our gender and our sexual orientation, these things really are big parts of us and us as individuals. And so if we sort of continue to live in a society that sort of ignored them and criticize those parts of ourselves, then that just causes a lot of harm to the community. And unfortunately, the LGBTIQA+ community has experienced a lot of that in the past, and we're really in a time of trying to shift that. And so that's where this work, I think, needs to continue when we do things like action plans and we do things like consult with the community and we do things like we're going to have a stall at Midsummer Carnival next year. So that'll be really great to sort of, again, have that visibility in that big festive LGBTIQA+ time. We're going to march in Pride March next year as well, and there will be a KC Rainbow community picnic in the old cheese factory in February. So it's having these kind of events, again, help to sort of show people that there is a place for you. It doesn't matter what kind of background that you're from or what community that you're part of. We're all in this together. We're all sort of supporting each other and helping each other just to feel that, feeling empowered. And, it is one of the KC values is to empower the community, and empowerment is such a strong feeling to have, feeling like we're on top of the world. So if we can just give more of that to each other, we're going to live in a pretty happy community, I think.
Yeah, and for the young people who are the future generation, just to hopefully have them grow up feeling that empowerment in who they are and that their differences are kind of their strengths is amazing. I can't even imagine how that would have felt when I was younger.
Yeah. Doing this work, I often think about when I was younger, because I'm part of the LGBTIQA+ community, and I grew up in an outer metropolitan. I didn't grow up in the city of Casey, but I grew up in another area similar to Casey. And I remember as soon as I turned 18, I wanted to move because I wanted to be in a place where I was closer to more inclusive places and spaces, where I knew there were also people from the queer community living in those areas. So when I think about Casey and I think about the young people living in Casey, I hope that by the time they're turning 18, that they don't have to sort of be in that situation where they have to think about leaving and moving away from family and just to be in somewhere that's more inclusive, or that they can actually have that where they live and where they are and where they grew up and where they perhaps want to stay and be closer to family. Yeah, so I often think about that actually when I'm doing this work, and especially when I'm thinking about the younger people living in the city of Casey. Yeah, I wonder what life for me would have been like if I continued to live in the area that I grew up in, because perhaps I would have been living closer to family. I would have had other options as well, as opposed to sort of having to move further away. So sometimes it is a decision that young people who are part of the queer community have to come across. So having an action plan and hopefully, in that building more inclusiveness in Casey, maybe young people may not have to make that decision or be in that sort of conundrum.
Yes, I definitely made the same choice when I was younger as well, but it brought me here.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think as a community, we thrive best when we're ourselves and just being genuine. And, diversity, inclusion, these are really important things. We need to be as a community supportive of each other to build a better space.
Yeah, exactly. And you think about the city of Casey and how much like diversity we have. It's so great. It's so rich. It's so amazing to be part of a place where there is so much diversity. And so hopefully the next part of that is we have diversity, so we also need to have inclusion. You can't really, if you have diversity, then you just have people just sort of living in their pockets and not sort of the community not empowering each other. But if we have inclusion, then we can actually come together, support each other, empower each other, learn from each other. I love learning about different cultures here at Casey. And so, it's great, so that's where there's so many strengths as well. And one of the terms that especially young people might hear in the action plan is equity. So I'm from the equity and inclusion, which is around meeting people where they're at and being able to give them what they need based on where they're at. There's that picture of, everyone, there's 3 people sitting at the baseball match and everyone's got the one box, and then that's equality. And then equity is actually having a look at all their needs and giving them the kind of box that they need to actually be able to all see the game. So that's what equity is. And it's actually not that hard if we actually just sort of come together and work together at it. But it's when there's division, it becomes harder. So that's why it's important that we come together, and it's important that young people come together and be part of it as well.
It's giving us all a fair chance. And
Absolutely.
That's what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what we all deserve. It's all our rights, our needs for everyone. Yeah.
We encourage young people to keep an open mind and support their peers and embrace each other's differences as we find strength in diversity. And remember, if you are a part of the rainbow community, connect and support each other. As always, all appropriate links will be attached to the show notes. To stay up to date with all the exciting things happening in Casey Youth Services, please feel free to follow, like, and share us on social media accounts.
And if you have any questions, please feel free to message us on Facebook, Instagram, or look out for a question box in any of our centres. We will be doing a mailbag as our last episode for the year, and we would love to answer any questions you might have.
And feel free to drop into the Casey Youth Information Centres. We're open 1:30pm to 5:15pm, Monday to Friday, with extended hours exclusive to Hampton Park. Please check out our website for more details.
Until next time, take care and stay safe.